still the AM Club coming to you live from the MX24 studios, Oleander Street, East Legon, Accra, Ghana. My name is Akushika Lebene for the month of March, okay? So guys, my name is Akushika Lebene. Akushika Lebene for the month of March. We're in Ghana month and we're celebrating Ghana month. Just gone by, you know, I had a conversation with my colleagues here at MX. We are officially coming for that brand of yours and making sure that the brand is known, heard, and seen all across the country and even beyond. And so stay right here on the platform with us. We have more information about our Ghana Month celebration here on MX, okay? Now, joining me for this session, which is, of course, the news review session, Dr. Samuel Sesa, National Communications Team member for the NDC, Godfred Boachim, Nana B. I just gave him a new title. He's my boyfriend. NPB Communications Team member. When someone is in pain, you have to be very supportive.
How are you in pain?
You're not in pain at all. Good morning, gentlemen. How are you doing? Good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, last Friday, the president said something, and I'm going to find out from Nana B how he feels about that. He said, the state of our nation is resilient, the state of our nation is renewing, and our nation is firmly in the hands of its people. President John Dramani Mahama. Good morning once again to the president and to the people of Ghana. When the president made this statement, I don't know if you heard it, but this statement coming from the president, how do you feel about it, Nana?
Okay, so good morning, Akushika, for the month
Akushika
of
for
March.
the month of March, yes.
Yeah, very good morning to Dr. Samuel and then to everyone watching us, especially the rank and file of the NPP. So last Friday, the president read the State of the Nation address. Well, I don't really see that as a State of the Nation address because it looked like some sort of self-gratification. It looked more like President Mahama was giving a lecture, you know, just reading from the teleprompter. Because if we are talking about the state of the nation, then we are looking at the state of the over 30 million people that are living in the nation. Now, President Mahama made a statement. He says it's resilient and it's in the hands of the people. And do you know why the NDC will tell you the economy is resilient? It's because dollar is down. Because inflation is at 3.8. And then what else? What else do they use to pride themselves? Oh, dollar is down. Oh, inflation is at 3.8. But then you ask yourself the most important question. Is this just about paper macro stability, or it is really about shared prosperity? Is this actually reflecting in the lives of the ordinary Ghanaian at a micro level, or is it just about these figures you are quoting up there? But you see, even if you talk about the resilience of the Ghanaian economy as it stands, anyone who has closely monitored our macroeconomic factors cannot talk about the gains you are making today without crediting Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and His Excellency Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Why do I say this? The reason the dollar is at where it is today is just because of the forex intervention the NDC has been doing since 2025. The only reason, yes, the forex intervention they've been doing. Now, someone may ask, why didn't we do that in 2024? Because, Mimi, as of 2024, there was a cap on the amount of intervention that we could do in a week or in a month. So I think as of 2024, the highest we could do was around $80 million. But as of now, the NDC can go as high as $1 billion in just 1 month. You get it? The reason they're able to do this is because of the gold accumulation, the gold for reserves, the gold for oil, the gold for forex. You see, we sat here and we said that, look, these macroeconomic factors you are seeing is not as a result of the market. It's just because of government intervention. That is why as around September, you know now the dollar is rising again. Because at every point in time, the NDC must intervene. Today, the gold reserves that we left are 30.4 tons. For almost 8 months, the NDC was able to add just about 7 tons or so. Mimi, as we are talking now, the gold reserves have depleted to 18 tons. Just 18 tons as we are talking today. What does that leave the fate of the ordinary Ghanaian? Today in Ghana, Gold Board has gone to buy gold, sell gold, and have made losses at a point where gold prices on the international market were at an all-time high, hitting around 4,000, 5,000 US dollars because the US stocks had gone down. Today, the prices of gold on the international market is coming down, and you ask yourself, what is the fate of the Ghanaian economy? How resilient is the Ghanaian economy? As we speak, in 2025, the Bank of Ghana rolled out a lot of contractionary measures. So by so doing, they sterilize a lot of money out of the system. But even when you do that sterilization, At some point, because this sterilization, it's not like the money will be locked up forever. It's like individual companies going to buy these Bank of Ghana shares and all that. At some point, these monies will be released into the system with gold prices coming down, with oil prices shooting due to the Iran Israel conflict. Because as of this morning, oil prices on international markets are around $91 to $100. With all these geopolitics going on, you ask yourself, is this economy truly resilient, or it is about the usual optics and the theatrics? As a student of economics, I beg to differ with what the president said. Because look, if whatever we are seeing today was driven by the market, then there would be no cause for worry. But at a point where in just 1 year, government had to intervene with more than $10 billion at the forex market just to keep dollar at 10 cedis and say, "Abang papaba." Bank of Ghana had to roll out contractionary measures to sterilize a lot of money out of the system to keep inflation down and say, "Abang papaba." Inflation is down. The monetary policy rate is down. The lending rate is down. The cost of borrowing is down. But what is the living standard of the ordinary Ghanaian in Ghana today?
So you in your comments,
in my very look, this is even beyond MPP and NDC. Like I said, as a student of economics, let's be academic. In my very objective opinion, the Ghanaian economy is not resilient. Like I said, gold prices are coming down now. Oil prices are now shooting. I was there with Julius at that time, and I was telling him that, look, you know that just this morning, about 20 minutes ago, Edujita Makulu, the MPA boss, has raised the floor market price for fuels. Do you know that for the past 2 weeks, fuel prices have been going up bit in bit?
I'm not driving now, so I can't.
Oh, okay. You cannot. You see, these are all. The good thing about these things is that these are all verifiable facts. You can check Joy News this morning, and Edujita Makulu has raised the floor market price. What it means is that you are going to see increase in prices of fuel and all that coming soon. You see, as of last year, we were buying a barrel for just $63 on the international market. As of this morning, due to the unrest in Asia, it's hitting around $91 to $100. I told Julius at that time that, look, your mama does not determine oil market price. He told me, oh, it's a buying papa. It is their subvention that is keeping the oil there today. The reality is that is not the truth. When the US stock starts rising, gold prices will fall. And even when they haven't risen, gold prices are already falling. How do you say that this is resilient? The contractionary measures that we enrolled in 2025, by some point later this year, we would have to release these monies back into the system. When you release these monies back into the system and there is that overheating, how do you test the resilience of the Ghanaian economy? You see, I have always said that governance go beyond the rhetorics. Governance go beyond the optics. It is not about what you celebrate today. It's about the long-term gains. In as much as GDP was very cruel, but there is a reason when the NDC came into power, debt to GDP was less than 60%. In as much as the dollar had risen, we were able to accumulate so much gold, which even extended beyond 4 months cover for import. We could have sold those goods. We could have dissolved them. Why didn't we do it? Because President Akufo-Addo, Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia thought about tomorrow. In less than 1 year, you depleted gold reserves by more than 13 tons.
We'll get into all those conversations later. So again, in Nana B's opinion, the State of the Nation address did not exactly reflect the actual or the true state of the nation. Now I'm going to come to you, Doc. The president spoke about economic recovery and stabilization, right? At what point, like Nana was asking earlier, at what point does the ordinary Ghanaian feel all these interventions in their pockets? At what point? Because I think we've seen all the works being done up there, and again, I mean, for people who understand how these things work, we're excited about the pricing, we're excited about the dollar rate. We're excited about many things, but at what point does it reflect in the pocket of a Ghanaian?
All right, thank you very much, Akushika. I think that for purposes of the Heritage Month we find ourselves in, we would all want to probably adopt our local names.
So Nanabi has kept.
He has one.
I am Boachi.
Oh, okay. I'm Kweku Intie, so that's my middle name.
Okay, so Kweku.
I'm a Fanti, yeah. Yes. This morning I want to greet the people of my constituency in Gomoa East. I want to tell them that the President John Dramani Mahama is doing his possible best to keep our hopes alive, restore everything that we had lost, our lives, and then put us back onto the destiny and the track that we once lost. First and foremost, the president's speech that he delivered at the State of Nations address is an actual reflection of the commitment that the people of NDC have with the people of Ghana. We have been able to, over this period of a year, been able to tell the Ghanaian people that our leaders can be competent and can solve the very issues that beface us. Why am I saying this? The president summarizes his work by saying that restoring lives and then restoring hopes. The most important thing that we want the Ghanaian people to know from everything that has been presented is that it is the fiscal discipline of the NDC government that has brought us to where we are now. In fact, everybody has the chance to go into the international market and then continue to borrow from investors. Everybody has the chance to spend beyond what you earn or even spend beyond what you generate for yourself. But what we've done over the year is to be able to live within our means and put a threshold on all our expenses. And so a government can have the independence and the will to decide to do whatever thing that they think deems fit. When I say that, I'm trying to expand by saying that the government can decide to have unnecessary employments. The government can decide to put unnecessary people into places.
When you say unnecessary employment, which one is that? Because my head is still in the unemployment we're dealing with in this country. So please, what's unnecessary employment?
So whenever you put anybody into an employment scheme, the person is supposed to be, one, productive, two, generate revenue. In order to, one, even to be able to pay him or herself, or to drive that productivity that we want to have. We've been in this country when a lot of people were occupying positions that we did not see the relevance of all those positions. And they came with a lot of service for that position. They came with a lot of benefits for that position that we didn't see the relevance in this country. Okay. So when I talk about the fiscal discipline, we as a government have taken difficult decisions to be able to bring the economy to where we are now. We came meeting the economy in tatters. We came to meet debt. We came to meet inflation at about 54%. We came to meet our currency almost collapsing. Today, if you ask me that how is the Ghanaian person or how is the Ghanaian citizenry going to feel the impact of this economic revival that we've done? Like you mentioned earlier, you said you do not drive, so you do not have a lot of data about fuel and what is happening. But it is of a lot of economic relief to people who have to pay more and earn less, who have to pay more for transportation and earn less from whatever work that they were doing. That economic relief that it brings to them, because salaries were not going up, there was increasingly difficulty with every single facet and sector of this economy. When it comes to bills, when it comes to services, utilities, and what have you.
We're going high, but nobody's salary was being increased.
And nobody's salary was going up.
I get your point.
At this moment, it is very important to understand that all these macroeconomic and microeconomic figures that we are mentioning, the importance of it is that the Ghanaian citizen can now hope again, because we believe that our leaders are taking the right decisions for us. We've been in this country a time when our president stood in front of the TV and lied to all of us that there were not going to be any haircuts or DDEP. But even our heads were taken off. That kind of mistrust in your government led a lot of people to see the brain drain that we experienced in our country for the last 4 years. It was very pathetic, and I speak as a doctor when I communicate with anybody, that I saw majority, even almost half of my class, leave to see greener pastures somewhere in the name or in the disguise of going for academic improvements or going for academic appraisal or what have you, or going to work elsewhere in another country, irrespective of whatever financial benefits is going to come from that country, because there was no hope, there was no direction, there was no discipline in our economy, in our leadership, and in the country as a whole. So for me, I believe strongly that the Ghanaian citizens have experienced at some facets the benefits that this economic revival has brought. Secondly, some will be complaining and having issues because about some few years back, people could sell an olunka of gari for about 26 cedis. But today, when you go to the north and even the middle belt, they are selling it as low as 8 cedis. If you are the seller, you would be disappointed because your profit margins has reduced. But for the ordinary Ghanaian, affordability is now a song we sing in our homes.
I would, again, as a young business owner, I would stay with the part where you say as a seller. So at what point does the seller benefit from whatever it is that you're doing? I'm going to come back to you. You answer to that, and then you tell me within the next 12 months what we're going to see in terms of improvement, some of the things that the president spoke about. In the next 12 months, we're going to see how feasible it is to achieve those. But let's talk about governance and accountability. And the president made commitments regarding corruption and governance reforms. What mechanisms do you think were proposed that are going to make sure that this one, it's transparent enough? Again, I say this a lot here, that we're all young people. And when we come here and we're doing the news review, I don't want us to do it like we saw in the past, where it's all partisan communication. But really, let's think also that in the next 4 or 5 years, the next 20 years, we are going to be the fathers and the mothers. Right. And would the conversations we're having today mean exactly what it's supposed to mean for our children? And because we're going to be paying bills, we're going to be parents.
Right.
And so when we're having conversations, we should, as much as we can, veer away from the whole political conversation. Let's be realistic. The president sat there and said a lot of things. This one, I'm going to break it down when it comes to governance and accountability. He mentioned, he made commitments regarding corruption and governance reforms, right? So, touch on that, Nana.
So I think, let me respond to a couple
Please.
of things. And I'll touch on the corruption something.
Please.
So it's when you talk about fiscal discipline. In 2024, government was spending less than $1 billion at the Jubilee House. In 2025, government spent more than $1.3 billion at the Jubilee House. How do you assess that as fiscal discipline? You see, we say that, some people were occupying roles and they were unproductive. Today, we have, when you go to all the regional ministries, we have regional ministers. Mm-hmm. Then they didn't appoint deputy regional ministers. But when you go there, we have regional coordinators in charge of political administration or so. Some positions that have been created to sort out some party boys or something. Today, when you go to the Jubilee House, Dr. Tukuno is director in search of agriculture or whatsoever. So you tell me, I've reduced ministers, but you create other crazy, portfolios, push people there and say reduce ministries. MEF had just one deputy CEO. Today we have 2 deputy CEOs at MEF. You go to NEIP, we have 2 deputy CEOs at NEIP. You don't push people into other portfolios, increase presidential staffers, because the benefit a presidential staffer gets is equal to that of a deputy minister. I hope you get it. So you don't create other portfolios and say, I've reduced ministers, and just say, I've created fiscal discipline. Please, that is false. Doc says inflation that they inherited was 54%, and I was surprised. A simple fact check will let you know that inflation in 2024, as at 7 January 2025, when President Akufo-Addo handed over the sword of power to President Mahama, it was just around 21-22%. We're from the 54%. 54% was as at end of year 2022. That was never as at 2025 when we handed over. Doc talks about currency stabilization. We left dollar at 14 cedis. And we are not doing the sort of forex intervention that you were doing, because our forex was largely driven by the market, not by optics and theatrics. Despite all your interventions, check the interbank rate today, and it's almost at 11 cedis. How are we better off today? Even that, they tell you Bank of Ghana has the rate, Abochi has the dollar. Go to Accra today and change dollar. You're going to get it 13, 14 cedis. So what is the point? Because as a President Akufo-Addo's time, when the Forex Bureau was selling at 14 cedis, the black market or other places, when you go to the bank, you get them at around 15 cedis or even less than 15 cedis, just about some 40 pesos, 50 pesos increment. Today, when Bank of Ghana tells you 11 cedis, the bank is selling at 13 cedis, the bank is selling at 12.5. How better are we off as a country? Look, when it comes to currency, for the businessman, the stability is more important than the fluctuations. So you do the intervention and there are fluctuations, it is not better off. If I'm a businessman, I know it's going to stay at 15 for the next 6 months. I like it than you pushing it to 10 cedis. Then the next week it comes to 12, then it goes to 11. That we are not better off. Doc spoke about salary increments, and I was surprised he spoke about it. We increased salaries by more than 20% in 2024. In 2025, you increased salaries by just 9%. In 2024, when you look at... Mimi, it's not about a reason. When you talk about salary increment, it's about,
system...
no, Mimi.
Okay.
Doc said that tariffs increased, but salaries did not reflect. And I'm telling you that in 2024, we increased salaries by more than 20%. Under Aban Papa, we increased salaries by just 9%. Under Aban Bonne, we under the ECG tariff adjustment, by end of year 2024, tariff increment was not even up to 10%. As I speak to you today, tariff increment is by more than 30% in Ghana under Aban Papa. How are we better off as Ghanaians? You can ask your boss how much electricity he's paying here in 2026 and how much electricity he paid in 2025 as compared to 2024. I used to buy prepaid 50 cedis, which could last me more than 2 weeks. Today I buy 100 cedis and in 1 week it is off. You see, the people are crying when you go to TikTok and other media stations. People say, I bought 600 cedis, less than 1 week, it's gone. I bought 200 cedis, 1 day, it's gone. This is a reality the ordinary Ghanaian is facing. Please. And this is the Aban Papa that we are saying we are better off with. Water has been increased. Electricity has been increased. Licensure exams, President Mama said he was going to cancel it. Today he has increased the cost of paying for licensure exams. Something you are going to cancel. Today you are telling teachers to pay more for it. How are we better off? Let me touch on corruption. I'm surprised when the NDC says, oh, under Aban Papa, we don't have any scandal. Mimi, we were in this country when the finance minister came to say that Aban Papa has stabilized the economy. I am not a woman, but I know I have sisters. And I asked my sisters before coming. They said, oh, Nana, a sanitary pad as a 2025 was less than 20 cedis. That was what they said. I don't know how true that is. I've never bought some before. But we were in this country when the Ministry of Education, based on their own data and expenditure they presented to Parliament, had bought one sanitary pad, factory price at 45 Ghana cedis. What has President Mahama done about that? What has Iyoko done about that? What has the Attorney General done about that? What is the commitment of this government to fight corruption? These are practical questions we need to ask ourselves. And I'm happy when you say we should look beyond the politics. Look, I didn't present this data to Parliament. This is data the Ministry of Education, the Finance Minister in the end-of-year budget, read and said, this is how much we spent. You do the calculation. You know one funny thing. When Honorable Vincent Assefuwa raised this concern, people were insulting him, ridiculing him all over, that he doesn't know what he's saying. Only for us to come, and today as I speak to you, Honorable Haruna Idrisu is saying he's now launching an audit or whatever into it. The thing that was false, now you're launching an audit. If you are looking for corruption, this government has bought one part at a time when market price was less than 20 cedis. It means that for factory
it depends on the kind of sanitary pad.
Mimi.
No, because what I use, I bought it for 40 something cedis for as long as I can remember.
Okay,
so
Mimi, let's even use your standard.
Yeah.
You went to buy for yourself. Government was buying to supply to students. It means that even numerically, it should have reduced. Yeah. So even if you are using the 40 cedis you bought at, the government cannot buy at that same 40 cedis when you are giving it to thousands of students. Yes. But the truth is that government will not buy that quality you bought. Why? What are you talking about? How will people get to, one of our deans will say, Alumbazwa. They won't buy at 40 cedis. They bought market price, which is less than 20 cedis at 45 Ghana cedis. When you are looking for corruption, don't go any further. In fact, we need to go into the true state of the Ghanaian economy as it stands today. I don't know, probably if you want Doc to come in before we round up, or if I can just round up with that.
I think Doc wants to say in his name. He doesn't like the banter.
The true state of the Ghanaian economy is that corruption-wise...
He's raising a lot of frivolous examples.
Oh, no. Is that corruption? No.
It is very alarming that... It is very alarming that on
a platform... Do you want to give him the opportunity to respond?
Do let me finish so that
he can come in. It is very alarming that on a platform like this, he would be citing some examples without a lot of knowledge about it. If you want to even cite examples about contracts goes through procedure. You can only have a say and then pinpoint that you sense corruption there if it was a sole source contract. But these are contracts that go through competitive tendering. And mind you, if you come and argue unit cost, unit pricing and all that, like you mentioned, relativity, people can decide to want to purchase this item or that item. You cannot even speak to the fact that this is the name of the pad that you bought to even compare with what the market is selling.
I think that's relevant information that would also help the conversation.
Mimi, let me just.
If you go through competitive tendering,
I'll just land. You come in. In fact, there were videos and there were pictures of some of these sanitary pads that these young girls got, and when you see them, in fact, the young ladies who have seen them can easily ascertain that this is of no better quality. Okay. But even better still, Mimi, you see, this is basic. A Toyota Land Cruiser V8 is probably $100,000. Government tells you they've gone to buy 100 of them. And government bought the 100 of them at $200,000. You are telling me I should go and get all the procurement knowledge and competitive tendering and whatsoever. When you are buying on a contract scale, please, we use the market. Look, Doc here has been an SRC president. I have been a JCRC president. Even when you take things to the procurement unit of the university, you get the market prices, at least 3 invoices, and it is compared. If market prices are selling as high as 40 cedis, and you government, you are buying thousands of them at 45 cedis per one, if this is not corruption, how do you term this? But like I was saying, let me just wrap up. What is the true state of the Ghanaian, the true state of the nation today? And probably Doc will come in. Cocoa farmers today are crying. The 3,600 cedis you promised them, today you are giving them 2,500 cedis. And what are their justifications? 1, there is debt. 2, world market prices have gone down. In 2017, we left a debt of 19 billion cedis. In 2017, world market prices went down from $2,100 to $1,770 and a person in Akufo-Addo. Did we reduce cocoa prices? Is today the first time cocoa prices have gone down? No. Randy Abe's incompetence by not engaging in forward contracts, but rather engaging in spot pricing is the reason cocoa farmers are suffering today. Governments cannot build them out, and that is the true state of the economy. Doctor here he's a doctor. Nurses. Now, you see, all these videos, technology has made them easier. Who have worked for over 11 months and have not been paid, are saying that, you see, they have, I don't know, whatever dashboard they have, where even if the government has not paid, it will record it. They are saying it has left the system. So, for example, if you have a portal where you can see that, oh, government is owing me 5,000 cedis, that 5,000 cedis has been flashed off the system. Meanwhile, they have not been paid. These are what the nurses are saying. Go on TikTok, go on the media and see these videos. This is not about MPP. That is the true state of the Ghanaian economy today. The true state of the nation today is that teachers have not been paid. Teachers have not been posted. 2025, when you read your budget, you said you're going to employ 50,000 people in the education sector. 40,000 teaching, 10,000 non-teaching. No clearance was given. Meanwhile, party executives were issuing out GS appointment letters in the north. That is the true state of the nation today. The true state of the nation is that you promised us 1 job, 3 shifts, 3 people. Go and read the legislation that they enrolled when we were launching the 24 Economic Secretariat. And there was nothing that pinpoints to the 1 job, 3 shifts, 3 people. That is what you told Ghanaians. We asked you if you were sure. President Mama went as far back as telling us that, look, even 9 clubs will operate in the day. Today, look at the rate of unemployment. And President Mama stood on before the nation, told us that by data from Ghana Statistical Service, we've had about 1 million jobs or so. A simple fact check, which was done by Joy News this morning. In fact, the Ghana Statistical Service Board says that they have increased by 330,000. The president says you've increased by 1 million. You do a simple fact check, and that is false. And you ask the president, how many financial clearances did you give in 2025 that you are quoting that 1 million? What incentives did you create? What enabling environment did you create? The true state of the nation today, let me end. Yeah. Doomsaw is now rearing up its ugly head in this country. People are buying prepaid, which are depleting at an abnormal rate. However, people are not also enjoying this light to their full benefit. Unemployment is on the rise. Today in Ghana, the true state of the nation is that Galamsey is on the rise. Districts are issuing tickets. So some Galamsey tax also. This is the true state of the nation today.
Nana,
and
thank
please,
you very much.
Let's look beyond the optics.
Kweku, please make this your final statement on the conversations we've had.
Okay, Akushika. So I find it very alarming. Some of the examples, situational examples, Nabi raises to support all the claims that he's asserting. It is very important that, like you mentioned, especially even this being the month of March, we need to be very nationalistic in our discussions. We need to be very patriotic in the conversations that we have. Conversations that are reflecting the actual state of the Ghanaian people. In fact, just to talk about some of the few things that he has mentioned. He mentioned that I was a student leader and he was also a student leader, and that you have to go and pick 3 invoices. And in fact, I plead that I have no knowledge or idea about what he's saying. The truth is,
I did that.
The truth is, if you want to go through any contractual agreement, the competitive tendering process, they open a bid for 3 companies to apply. There is nowhere or no point where I intercept what the companies want to bring and then go and submit it for them. The company submits them, and then the tendering committee sitting on it determines the value that is best for them, which is sometimes the lowest, and then the best product. And so they choose that and they offer the contract to them. And so at what point in time will someone or somebody choose a price that does not reflect the true state of the market? Mind you, these business people factor a lot of things, which includes transportation, taxes they pay, and what have you, into their product. So you cannot compare it with a product that is sitting on a shelf in one particular shop, where the person doesn't want to make some particular, the person doesn't want to pay some particular taxes that these business people who deal with government and state agencies pay. Now, to other issues, he raises issues about the fact that the president has been fact-checked this morning. In fact, yes, Joy News brought a publication this morning that the claim that we had 1 million employment between the first and third quarter of last year was false. But the truth is, there are... And Anabi raises the fact that how many financial clearances did the president issue out? That he comes to make an assertion that there is about 1 million jobs that has been created. The thing is, there are a lot of jobs that government directly and indirectly creates. By making sure that the economy becomes stable, the economy, the macro figures are showing in the right direction, gives a lot of people the advantage to own their own businesses, to be able to employ in the private sector. These are not jobs that gives financial, that the president has to give financial clearance for. It is because they have that notion, that failure notion that every job has to come from the presidency or has to come from the government. But to talk about the issues, the main issues are that President John Dramani Mahama is saying that this is the year where we need to let all the things or the major successes of last year reflect in the lives of our people and be able to restore that hope and confidence that they have. We've been able to establish that in this year, every facet of our economy is going to improve. And that is what we said in the State of Nations address. We have been able to depict that right from our agriculture, right from our transportation, even the state of our employment is going to increase and increase drastically. President Dramani Mahama has stated on emphasis that the 24-hour economy, which was launched recently, is going to make a lot of impact and be able to absorb the citizenry that is still looking for employment, because day in, day out, we're having a lot of people looking for jobs.
Right.
But it is important to also note that, like he mentioned, that people have not been paid their salaries and all that is false. The instances where nurses are not getting their salary, I've been practicing for about 6 years now. And each and every year, even in the erstwhile government, nurses do not receive their salary until the end of their service period. And the people he's talking about are service nurses. It is not even the actual nurses practicing in the hospital.
Do they know this? Do they know this? Because
the issue is, each and every year you have about some 13,000 to 130,000 nurses from the 13,000 from the private, the government institutions, and then from the nursing trainees, you have about 130,000 nurses going into the service scheme. They are new people. They are not aware about the experiences.
No, but then we're not doing a great job then, because they need to know the rules of engagement.
Yes,
to be able to get into the sector.
Exactly. So, but then the thing is, it is not also fine holding somebody's salary for almost a year.
But Doc, you know these are actual workers.
It is not.
Because now I am worried, but we don't have time as well. But we're going to definitely.
These are not actual workers.
Yeah. They are workers.
Unless you prove
these are workers who had been working since 2020.
Yeah, because there have been conversations, and even on the back of that, the Minister of Health has come to talk about it. So now what you're saying is conflicting with what the Minister of Health
says. The thing is, service nurses are also nurses. Okay. They are working in the hospitals. When you go there, you see them there a lot. Okay. And they are not any. You see the description where when you go into government institutions, you see national service personnel is different from the
service
actual.
Nurses are the same as
the service nurses they are the ones who even man health facilities in this country because of the social that we have.
Then based on, because last week we had Dr. Is it Boy in Parliament speak extensively about some of the things we don't know in the health sector. I think the conversation in the health sector should be broadened so that they explain fairly to us how it looks like. But unfortunately, Doc, we have to bring you back for us to break this conversation down. And Nana, thank you so much for coming. It's good to see you. But we'll continue to have important conversations here on the platform to make sure we give clarity to what it is that governance looks like today and if it is fit for the future that we're looking at. But thank you so much for being a part of the conversation here on the AM Club. My name is Akushika Lebene. We'll be right back after this.